If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake, baked a cake, baked a cake. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band, grandest band in the land. Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired
I'm Beverly Summers, and I'm coming to you live from Washington, D.C. This morning, September 15th, 1950, Douglas MacArthur landed the United States and South Korean troops at Incheon. General MacArthur was named commander of the United Nations forces, leading the United States as well as 15 other countries in the war against the North Koreans and communism. Over to you, Robert, reporting live from Seoul.
Thanks, Beverly. I'm here, as you can see, on the battlefield with General MacArthur. So, General MacArthur, what do you think is the answer to defeating the Soviet-trained and armed military force?
Our boys have the mentality and the patriotism to defeat this army. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into defending our country, and will do the same for South Korea and their rights as well.
Well said, General. What are your thoughts on atomic warfare? Will it be necessary to win this war against the communists?
Well, I will go to all lengths to win this war, and if push comes to shove, we'll do it. We have the technology and resources to do so, and we did develop it for this reason, but I must keep this information classified for now.
Thank you so much for your time, General MacArthur. Back to you, Beverly.
Thanks, Robert. What an incredible man. General MacArthur was appointed by the United Nations Security Council to lead them in this war. The council met in July, shortly after North Korea passed the 38th parallel and invaded South Korea. At the meeting, they decided to support the Republic of Korea. The Soviet Union was boycotting the council at this time and had no say in this matter. The 38th parallel border between North and South Korea was set up after World War II, when Korea was left to be split between the Soviet Union and the United States. The two nations met at Potsdam and agreed to split the country on the 38th parallel, in which the Soviet Union would control the northern half and the United States would occupy the southern half. There have been a few minor skirmishes between the two parts of the country, but they were handled internally and nothing too serious. At dawn, on June 25, 1950, the North Koreans attacked several points along the 38th parallel and surprised the South Koreans. They have been pushing back ever since, taking over major cities, including the capital of Seoul. Earlier today, I went to the White House to meet with Harry Truman to discuss his thoughts on the war.
Hello, Mr. Truman. How are you today?
Well, Ms. Summers, I'm doing just fine. And you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Wonderful.
So, Mr. President, the so-called Cold War that we have been in with the Soviets has just turned hot. How do you feel about this first military action in the Cold War?
I think I can speak on behalf of our entire country when I say that there is fear that this may be the first step in a communist Soviet-led campaign to take over the entire world. If we don't put up a fight now, there's no telling what they'll do.
You and your administration have been criticized for not enforcing anti-communism enough and for losing China to the Soviets after the Chinese Revolution. Is this why you jumped on the idea of aiding the Republic of Korea so quickly?
I knew that South Korea needed our help as soon as I heard of the invasion. It was never a doubt whether we would send in our troops. Communism cannot spread, and this Soviet-inspired plan is part of a larger plan shared with the North Koreans and China. This has nothing to do with those wrong accusations. This has everything to do with fighting for our beliefs.
The USSR recently revealed that they have developed chemical weapons. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any intentions of using them to fight the North Koreans and the Chinese?
Other nations developing chemical weapons was inevitable. It was only going to be so long before other countries developed the technology and gathered the resources to make atomic bombs. On using them in this war, I definitely do not think it is necessary. It may bring us to war with the Soviets and even trigger World War III. I will put my foot down on the use of these weapons and hope the Soviets have the same thoughts on using them as I do.
Thank you so much for your time and input, Mr. Truman.
My pleasure, Ms. Summers.
This is Beverly Summers, reporting from the White House. Over to you, Robert.
That General MacArthur and President Truman seem to have different opinions on the use of the atom bomb. Speaking of bombs, could they be the reason for this war in the first place? Last year, 1949, more specifically, President of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim II Sung traveled to Moscow seeking permission from Stalin to invade South Korea. Stalin objected, but a year later, April of 1950, he gave President Kim permission to invade after a boost of confidence given by the Soviet Union's first successful detonation of an atomic bomb. He gave permission under the condition that Emperor Mao Zedong of China backs North Korea in the war. Emperor Zedong and his troops are yet to make an appearance by crossing over the Yali River into Korea, but we expect to see them in the near future. Back to you, Ben.
Fullback Bobby is a boy of 9. He can really hit that line. He's a star because he knows he's got go power from Cheerios. He's got go power. There he goes. He's feeling his Cheerios. Cheerios. Cheerios.
Yes, Cheerios, the cereal that's shaped like a little letter O. No other cereal is like Cheerios, the only ready-to-eat cereal with this wonderful toasted oat flavor. A breakfast of Cheerios with milk, fruit, and buttered toast is all you need to give you go power. That's because Cheerios is made from energy-packed oats, made to give you the vitamins and minerals you need for healthy nerves, good red blood, strong teeth and bones. So give the whole family go power from Cheerios, the oat cereal that needs no cooking. Then you'll hear people say,
he's feeling his Cheerios.
The peninsula of Korea was previously under harsh Japanese rule for 35 years. The Koreans were forced to live a Japanese lifestyle, speak Japanese, and follow harsh Japanese law. This being said, they were alleviated when Soviet and American troops stepped in and took control. Both North and South Korea were appointed presidents, Syngman Rhee in the south and Kim Il-sung in the north. Both sides of Korea welcomed the new rule as opposed to the Japanese. Japan gained control after the Russo-Japanese War in 1910 and were stripped of Korea as well as the rest of their colonies and territories after the Second World War. Great Britain, the USSR, and the United States met in Cairo, Egypt after the war and decided to strip Japan of its colonies, leaving Korea to the United States and the Soviets. The United States sent troops into the south and the Soviets did the same in the north, but both troops were later removed. The division of Korea was always intended to be temporary, but Kim Il-sung and Syngman Rhee both wanted to unite Korea as a whole under their rule. Kim's dreams almost came true before we stepped in. Can we squash them once and for all? Back over to Robert to get an update on the action.
Fighting continues across the sea. The average American life goes on. People tune into the radio or pick up a newspaper to get updates on the war. But let's be honest, now the Peanuts cartoon strip has been introduced to the American people. The Korean War column is getting a run for its money. The draft is in place and mothers worry about their sons, but it's a great time in America. Soldiers may endure atomic bombs, Chinese soldiers, immense amounts of casualties, harsh weather conditions. The American spirit will stay strong. I'm Robert Jones signing off live from Seoul.
Thanks, Robert. Until tomorrow, I'm Beverly Summers, signing off, live from our capital, Washington, D.C.
Year, if I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake, baked a cake, baked a cake. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band, grandest band in the land. Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band and spread the welcome mat for you. Oh, I don't know where you came from, 'cause I don't know where you've been, but it really doesn't matter. Grab a chair and fill your platter and